How's it, everybody? The land for this rail yard was purchased from a one Humphrey Enfield and was founded from small beginnings as one of the town's main import and export networks, with just a few offloading bays and rail sheds to its name. Over the decades, as the town grew, so did the project. At its peak, it was a bustling cargo port which would see hundreds of carts of cargo filter in and out every day. Over the years, as demand fell and technology grew, the town moved on to more modern and financially efficient forms of cargo transportation, leaving the rail yard to slowly but surely become decommissioned, leaving it a ghost of its former self, as it is now used to store broken and unused engines that will likely never become active again. During this time, as the town became more and more populated, the demand for a passenger rail service grew and eventually resulted in the implementation of a new high-tech passenger station, complete with a tandem bus station for convenient public transport links between the station and the rest of the region. The station, now over a decade old, was affectionately named the Humphrey Enfield Regional Railway Station. It is thus no surprise that this railway yard is known as Enfield Locomotive Shipping Yard, or ELSI for short. To this day, it is one of the most frequently used facilities across all of Nomasburg, having evolved over the years to connect with outside rail networks and therefore bringing in their residents either as visitors or as optimistic new dwellers to this charming settlement. I would like to say a big thanks to Oliver Thornton-Hill, also known as Mistronius on the Discord server, for the name and the backstory. With that, let's get into today's episode. How's it everybody? Welcome back to the Nomasburg region. Sanctum Gamer here, and we've crossed that 30 episode mark, and we are still continuing here on Nomasburg, continuing our expansion around this rail yard that we've been building over the last couple of episodes. Now, let me address very quickly, lots of people have been asking me, when is City of Tando coming back? City of Tando will be back soon. I just finished rebuilding all the stuff that I had lost. So I am going to get cracking in City of Tando again very soon. It's just that right now I'm really enjoying expanding on this Nomasburg region area, especially around this rail yard. I love the build style that I'm going with the not abandoned, more like the rundown effect. I'm really enjoying this. I haven't done this much in any build, so I think it's probably the reason why I'm enjoying building this style so much. So we're still going to have a couple more episodes here, and then we'll jump into City of Tando and continue from where we left off the last time. Okay, so I'm hoping that by the end of this month, which is February, we should be back in City of Tando. But until then, we continue our expansion around here, and today what I wanted to do was get some of the commercial areas in place. So around the rail yard, or at least within its immediate vicinity, I wanted to have a nice long commercial strip that kind of borders either side of this rail yard. and then from that point on we'll expand out into a few more, maybe small tiny pockets of commercial with residential, as well as a couple of things that will stick in between. Now here I got this building, this Cash Build building. It's a Cash Build is actually a store here in South Africa, and of late I've noticed a creator on the workshop. Their name is, I think, Shubs26, who's been putting out a lot of these South African assets, which I am completely and utterly appreciating, and definitely want to use more of these South African assets in my build. So massive shout out to Shubs26. I really appreciate that. Keep them coming, and I am definitely going to keep using more of them. Now this Cash Build building is a major retailer here in South Africa that sells like construction materials and stuff like that. So it's super awesome to have it. I think it fits in nicely with the big box stores sort of vibe that I'm trying to go for in this area. So we're going to put a whole bunch of, I think it's primarily American big box stores like Target, but we're going to mix in as many as I can. To be honest, I don't know where a lot of these stores come from. I don't know which ones are American, which ones are European, which ones are from any other part of the world for that matter. All I'm doing is I'm finding assets that look the part, and I am basically placing them down. Another thing I also want to do a lot of is have these tiny little pockets of industry that is mixed in with pretty much everything else that's going on in this town. If you might recall, I mentioned that I want this town to look like it is or was a heavily industrial town. Its entire history, its growth was shaped around the industry that existed around here. And a lot of that I want to come out in all the different areas that I build. So we might find a residential area that's being built, and then we'll just have an abandoned warehouse that is sitting somewhere. So I'm trying to capture that sort of vibe. So expect to see small little industrial buildings like the one we just built kind of popping up and popping in here and there. Continuing with the box stores, this is where I put together the Target. Now obviously because of my camera positions and keeping everything still, I have to build this entire area basically from the back forward, because once I place this building I'll not be able to put much behind it without using a whole lot of move it, and most of it you probably won't see anyway. So the way I try and get around this is have an idea of where the building is. So I would have put this, or I put this Target building down, see how much space it occupies, and then work out how much extra space I have left at the back in order to put all those crates and all those tracks. This allows me to do the detailing that would otherwise be hidden before I actually put down the building. And it's quite nice because I think it gives the entire video like a nice organic growth where you see how everything is laid out from the areas that are hidden to the areas that you see without me actually having to shift the camera around. So I quite like this technique. It's a bit more involved. It does mean that I have to plan out an area in a bit more detail once I actually get to it before I actually hit that record button. But it's quite nice. So when I actually watch the video myself, I love to see how an entire area grows from the buildings, from the areas that are hidden to the areas that you see. And yeah, I hope you also appreciate the way it all comes together and makes it hopefully much easier for you to watch. Then continuing on the other side, it's exactly the same what box stores. I think this is what is this? I don't even remember. That's an Albertsons or whatever it is. I think somebody once mentioned that this is a European store, but I could be wrong. Albertsons. I cannot remember its name. But one of the things I'm also trying to get is to not put too many of the buildings right up against the road. So I want to push the buildings a bit further in and then keep the parking spaces sitting between the actual commercial building and where the road is. And this could be attributed to the fact that maybe a lot of these places just developed a little further away from the road, or the roads got renovated, so the place, not renovated, got revamped, so places got cleared out and all of this got built, or the big box stores came in at a later stage as the town was growing, and then they just bought out this massive pieces of land and they just cleared it all out and they built all of this stuff that you are seeing. So that's the thinking in my mind, but I really did want to get a lot of parking space in and around these stores, simply because they also tend to generate a lot of traffic. And the fact that when I put these parking lots down, thanks to traffic manager president, the cars actually use it, makes it look a little more dynamic, makes it look a little bit more realistic, at least for the Western style cities, or let me not say American cities, where you got a ton of parking all over the place. So it is the vibe that I am going for. And then keeping with my initial intent, which is to try and incorporate as much biking network as I can. Again, I know little to nothing about biking networks, because here in South Africa we have 0 biking networks in place, but I'm going to try my best to incorporate biking everywhere, and I'm going to try and mix up the biking paths that I use between these green ones and the red ones and the vanilla ones. I'll just see which one tickles my fancy at the time of building and which one actually seems to fit in better with the area that I'm working on, and then use those parking lanes in that spot. Wow, there's like loud thunder as I'm recording this. I hope it's not coming through. Anyway, so we're just detailing the back of this store, because I didn't think this area was going to be anything other than just forest and bush, and that's why I did not do what I did with the target, where I built from the back to the front. I thought I was just going to put a bunch of trees there, but then after I did that, I realized that it didn't really look nice. It didn't really fit in with everything else that was happening. And one of the things that I want to have this area look like is for it to look extremely concretey, just to show that it's a developed area. And so as a result of that, I decided to change text and actually put a sort of loading zone behind that whole area, and then fill out these spots also with a few more commercial spaces, and then we will finish off the entire episode with just a little bit of residential spaces, kind of begin that blend from this commercial strip into the residential areas. So I want this area to serve as sort of the blending out to the outskirts of this town. So away from this area, we're gonna have very little, if any, commercial spaces at all, and it will just become residential as we go along. We will put down a couple of rundown areas. I've seen a lot of people make that suggestion in comments of the past videos, that they think a rundown area would look really nice around this rail yard that's running through here, and I 100% agree. I have earmarked a couple of spots, or rather a specific spot near the rail yard, where we'll build something that is a bit more of a rundown neighborhood, just to, I guess, hopefully make it look a bit more realistic. So yeah, that is it for this episode. It's just commercial space here, and then we will put a couple of residential areas in the open space that you see towards the middle left of the screen there. Wow, this thunder is really loud. That is very interesting. Anyway, cool. So that is that is pretty much going to do it for this episode. In the next one, I do want to continue the commercial spaces that I want to expand out in the immediate vicinity of the rail yard, but that will take us to the other side of the rail yard to where we are building now, and then we will be jumping probably back and forth on either side of the rail yard as we expand this town further and further along. I want a couple of empty pockets here and there, but we'll see where they will all fit in. All right, everybody, that's it from me. I hope you enjoyed this build. If you did, kindly leave a thumbs up. Let me know in the comments what you enjoyed, what you would love to see, what you'd love to see me build, and we'll do our best to incorporate as many ideas as we possibly can into this entire region as it grows. All right, like I mentioned, City of Tando will return just in a couple of weeks. For now, let me continue to enjoy my Nomasburg builds because I am really enjoying them. All right, have a good one, everybody, and I hope to catch you all in the next one. Cheers.